be a dick. The results that you get in your business will be entirely down to the standards that you set and uphold.
Hello, welcome to part one with James Ashford. In this episode, we talk about sales, why sales is important to every firm, also how to forge great people, train great people, and bring a young team on, as he did. And I think you'll find amazing value in this episode.
You're listening to the Plannex Podcast, proudly sponsored by Iris.
Right, I'm here with James Ashford.
Hey.
You all right?
Yeah, great, thanks.
Yeah. So, you taught recently at Plannex Live. You had a good time?
Yeah,
Enjoy
great.
the bingo?
Loved it.
Yeah? Did you win?
No, I wouldn't have gone up to win. Even if I'd got a hat, I'd have just handed my card to someone else. It would have terrified
I think
me.
we should tell the experience of how you turned up to Plannex Live last year and you were like, what the hell is what? I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah, you just imagine it's going to be a little bit more sedate and a little bit calm. But it wasn't. It was just wild and everyone dancing on tables and shit like that. So
what I want to do today is talk about over two parts. First part is, what are the learnings we can take from your business? So you built a business, you scaled it, you punched above your weight, as you said it. And then we're also going to talk about, in the second part, your experience with financial planning, because I think that's really relevant. It's not often we get someone who's willing to talk about their financial advisor or financial planning as part of that process. So there's going to be a lot of lessons. But the first question really, let's talk about, Go Proposal. Why did you set it up? What was the point?
From a young age, I always wanted to build a business. I always connected entrepreneurship with freedom, and thought that if I could build a business and make a lot of money through that business, then I could achieve all the good things in life. And it's not that my parents were business owners. Far from it. They worked very hard for companies, and maybe that was one of the reasons that made me think. When my dad retired, they'd screwed his pension up, and he worked he proper grafted. I never knew him had a day sick in all of his life. Do whatever they asked him to do, and they messed his pension up, and he got half the pension he was meant to get. And my mum, she ran a residential home. It's one of 25 homes in the country. Hers was the only one with a waiting list. Her standards that she ran that home to were exceptional, and she ran the whole home. And she got the team so motivated. She had such amazing values in there, and how she run it with the residents and really enriched the last kind of months or years of their life. And when she left, she got a potted plant, and they quibbled over her last month's pay because she only worked 3 weeks of the month or something like that. And it's I'm not doing this.
Amazing.
And I saw, my aunties and uncles had businesses, not big businesses, a glazing business, a garage door business. And you see local entrepreneurs and things, and you think, I want more of that. You seem happier than my parents. You drive nicer cars, live in a bigger house. That's what I want.
Nice. So I think we're going to talk about Go Proposal. So just tell us what the first few years were like in Go Proposal, because I think I usually ask this to financial planning business owners, but I think there's a lot we could learn from your journey.
Yeah. So just a very brief history, it's very, very rapidly where that came from. So I was working I'd failed businesses, but one of the things I've spotted in businesses that they struggle with is the sales process. How do you provide a great customer experience? How do you sell in everything that customer wants? The sales process is just normally the most awkward phase because we don't like talking about money. We don't want to see ourselves as a salesperson, etc. But it's ultimately where value is exchanged. If I can't unlock that value and sell this to you, I can't give you any value. And so people typically avoid, or they make so many mistakes around the sales process. And in the marketing company I had, what I realized was, let's say this was a sales meeting now, after you leave here, you might have a game of paddle, you might have to get the kids, you got a message from your wife about you got to call and get some shopping. You got a million things to do with your life, okay? So if I say to you, I'm going to send you a proposal tomorrow, the moment you leave here, you've gone. Your head's disconnected from this sales meeting. So one thing I realised, and maybe it's like being a northerner, is that we've got to talk about price at some point. So I might as well talk about it with you here while I've got your attention. I might as well say, this is what I've agreed to sell you. This is how much it's going to cost. How does that sit with you? And if you say it's too much, not a problem. What do you want to take out? I worked in a restaurant, and I realised early on that as a junior waiter within a week in that business, I could walk up to any size table and armed only with a menu, I could sell whatever complication of dish, meals, drinks, side orders, starters, whatever anyone wants at that table. So why isn't that the case in an accounting firm, in a financial planning firm, in whatever? And the bullshit answer that everyone gives is, our business is different, our customers are different, our services are different, everything we offer is bespoke. Why is it bespoke? It's not. There's like, the way that most businesses sell is the equivalent of this. Okay, so I'm going to sell you this meal. Do you want some bread as part? Yeah, okay. Do you want me to roll it out into a shape this size or this size? Do you want cheese? How much cheese? Do you want some like a tomato paste thing with it? Would you like some small slice of ham? It's like, hang on a minute, that's a pizza. Okay, so do you want a cheese and ham pizza? Do you want a 10-inch or a 12-inch? Like, just package it up, serve it as something that people understand rather than a collection of ingredients. So this was something I'd realised early on. Worked with a load of businesses to help them to do this and massively increase their sales and the value they could give to their clients. Met an accountancy firm and they thought they had a shit hot sales process, and it was just the first part of that. It was just shit. So I sorted it out.
What was shit about it?
It's the fact that everybody thinks that their process is good compared to their competitors, okay? But the deal is, you don't get to choose who I compare you to. So let's say you're a financial planner and you're better than every other financial planner in the area. You think I am therefore comparing you to the other financial planners. I'm not. I'm comparing you to the Uber taxi that I've just booked. I'm comparing you to the book that I just bought off Amazon and that I ordered it yesterday and it arrived here the following day, and I'm still waiting for your proposal. I'm comparing to the fact that I can go on Netflix, pick a film I watch, and I'm watching it immediately, and I've still not had a phone call back from you from this morning, and you think that's unreasonable because you're better than the other financial planners. I'm not comparing you to them. You don't get to choose who I compare you to. I choose who I compare you to, and you might say that's unfair, but it's the case. So that's what I did with this accountancy firm, my accountancy place in Manchester. And I just streamlined the process. And one of the briefs that I said is that I'm going to help your most junior member of the team be able to sell to your most complicated client, your most complex client. I'm going to remove the onus on the owner and the founder to do this. I'm going to empower everyone in that business to be able to do this. Because what happens in businesses is you have your frontline team. They typically push information up to the people with the decisions. They make a decision, they push the information back down, and the decision gets made. What you want to do is push the decision-making power down to the people who are dealing with the clients, and some of that decision-making power is what are we selling, how are we selling it, and how much for.
Okay. So you set up the business.
Yep.
How fast did it go? Just out of interest.
Yeah, so as soon as... So I solved the problem for one accountancy firm. It was only when the other accountancy firm in Leeds heard about it and said, how do we get that? And I'm like, this is it. You've got to be looking for the business. You've got to be looking for I had a shape in my head of what success and entrepreneurship and a fortune looks like. And I was just waiting for the right size hole. It was like, shit, there it is. Bang, straight into that. So I figured out that I could build it for about $4,000, the software for this. I kicked it off with a developer straight away. We spec'd it out, got it kicked off, and then I think it took about 2 months to build, 2 to 3 months to build the product. In that time, I built the waiting list, which I'd learned from a guy called Daniel Priestley, a friend of mine. And so I started...
And how did you do that? So how did you build a waiting list?
So I started to post regularly on social media not about the product, but about the problem. So what most people do is they sell their services to people who are product aware, who are solution aware. So how many people are looking for that service? So if you look in the accounting sector, how many people, Google search is a good example of this. How many people are typing in proposal software for accountants, right? They're people who are solution aware. They know what the problem is. They've figured out how to solve it. They know what the solution is they're looking for, and they're searching for it. The problem is that's a very competitive space to aim for. It's going to cost a lot of money, it's very crowded, and we're talking about 3% of the market. However, about 30% of the market are problem aware. So they know there's something going on, but they have no idea what the solution is. What their Google search term might be is, someone's just asked me for a discount, what do I say? Just a much longer search term, because it's they're not as articulate.
So they have a problem.
They have a problem.
They don't know how to solve it.
They don't even know there's a solution. So they're googling that, right? And then what I did was I aimed at solving it for those people. So, and the best analogy for this is to think like a celebrity chef. So Gordon Ramsay, you've never watched a video of Gordon Ramsay telling you about his restaurant. There's not one video you've seen of him advertising his restaurant, saying what's on his menu. Please come and eat at my restaurant. You've never seen an advert for it. What you have seen him to do is tell you how to cook the food that he serves in his restaurant, give you his recipe, give away his secret sauce, tell you how to do it. Because what he realised is that there's no value in knowledge. There is no value in knowledge at all. There's value in implementation. So he comfortably gives away everything, and there's no danger of you taking all of his recipes, setting up a restaurant next door to him and putting him out of business. Doesn't work like that. Instead, you've attempted one of his recipes once. It didn't go too well. You bought his recipe book. You cooked one recipe out of that once, and the first chance you got to go to one of his restaurants, you went there. So it's this idea of give it all away. So back to the analogy of the accounting firm, or what happened in the accounting firm, we'd figured out how to solve the sales problem, how to sell more, how to convert at a higher rate, how to empower everyone on the team to do it, how to increase fees, how to shorten the sales process, wow customers. We'd solve that problem for them. And through that was a piece of tech that we developed. So I never started posting about the tech. I posted about everything that sat around it. What is the nature of the problem you're trying to solve? What you need to do in your business in order to solve it? Oh, and by the way, if you want to solve it faster, quicker, and cheaper, we've got a bit of tech here that can help you to do it. Cool. It's just a PS. In an email, the sale for the software would be a PS.
Okay. What did you... So there's a few things here that I think the audience will get from you. So you're what I would call an elite sales and marketer. So would you call yourself that, just out of interest?
I probably wouldn't have that as my title on LinkedIn, but if you asked me to reflect, then I would.
And how did you learn that?
By being a close-up magician.
Yeah.
So I had a Paul Daniels magic set. This is true. You know this story. Yeah. I had a Paul Daniels magic set as a kid, and not a lot of friends. So I just used to practice magic tricks, and then at family parties just try and impress, just constantly seeking approval from people, really, just from being a young child, and did that by trying to impress people with magic tricks. I did get one girlfriend through magic, but other than that, it was not a good technique for that. But then I got better at it and got actually very good at it. I think I've ever shown you a trick, have I?
No.
Mate, my trick's amazing, right? Anyway, I got invited to do an event, a business event, and then through that got corporate events and weddings. And I would charge a lot of money to go and do magic at weddings. So I would turn up at a wedding, and you're going up to this table of people who, they don't want you there. They didn't invite you to the table. They're pissed. They don't like magicians. They don't believe in magic. And I've got to walk up to them, and I've got 5 minutes to convince a group of adults that magic is real. It was a tough sales gig. And the thing that I relished the most was the most difficult table. Magicians, they'll be good at magic, but they don't necessarily know how to handle people. My goal would be, and what people at the wedding didn't know is that 2 weeks before I'd go, I'd speak to the bride or groom and say, look, I know you're going to have a difficult table at this wedding. It's likely to be your mates from school who you've not seen for a long time. They're going to be the rowdiest. I want to know which that table is, and I want to know who's going to be the worst person on that table, and I want the phone number. So I'd be armed. Before I turn up at the wedding, I'd go around, I'd mark where everyone was sitting on the tables, I'd find that table, I'd mark where that person was, and I'd just walk up innocent. Hi, how you doing? Okay. And everyone's thinking, don't go to that table and don't go to him. And all I'm thinking is, I'm just going to take you out. I'm just going to destroy you in front of everyone.
Straight into the fire.
Yeah, I'm just going to walk straight up to the worst person in the room on the worst table, because if I can win you, I've won the room. And so that was my training in sales.
That was it, was it?
That was it.
That was it.
And just realising that selling is really just, first of all, the title of my other book that I wrote in the accounting space is Selling to Serve. To sell is to be in the service of somebody. We've all got a really bad concept as what selling is, because we've all experienced terrible salespeople. You bought a car that was a piece of shit that you didn't want to buy, but you were bullied into it by some terrible salesperson. And when you think, it's a good exercise to do it with your team, right? Get them to write salesperson down and get them to list every word you associate with a salesperson. And you get kind of selfish, sleazy, only in it for themselves, rip you off, all this stuff. And then the next one is a consultant, a medical consultant. How would you describe that person? Well, they're an expert, they care about you, they're a good listener, they've got your interest at heart. And that's what a consultative salesperson is. So what a great salesperson should do is, all I'm trying to do is help you to make the right decision for you. This is why I don't believe in sales, but I don't believe in bonuses for salespeople. Because the moment you put a sales bonus in place, you think in short term and you think they'll only think of themselves and hitting their sales target. You've got to think long term, you've got to think lifetime value, and you've got to think acting in your best interest. The best car salesman in America, I forget his name, but he sold 6 times more cars than the number 2 car salesman. And the reason he was able to do that was because he didn't care about selling you this car. He cared about selling you the next car. So if you turned up, and your family's their car, so he would happily, you'd go to buy a car off him and he'd say, Adam, I don't have the right car for you, but as I was driving down today, there's a car on the lot up there. It's the absolute perfect car for you. I made a note of it. I'm going to send it to you. Go get that car. Yeah. He wants to work with you for life. He wants you to recommend your family to him and bring your kids to him to buy their cars for life off him. And so you have to have that honest, trusting relationship with people. So for me, ethical selling, consultative selling, is genuinely acting in the best interest of someone else. It's acting in their service. And here's the other thing. If you don't sell them everything that person needs, you're not being fair to them. So if you're coming to me and let's go back to being a medical consultant again. Let's say I know that you need an operation, okay? And then you need rehabbing afterwards, and you need some pills as part of that and whatever. But that's going to cure you of this thing. There's nothing wrong with you, by the way, but if I had to say that. It's my ethical obligation to help you to understand that and to make that decision and to get the very best version of that. I'd be a shit salesperson if I said, I kind of know what's wrong with you, but just buy these pills. It won't fix you. It's kind of okay. I'm not being fair to you if I don't sell you the full package, if I've not really listened to what's going on. So the best salespeople will offer you the very best thing that you need. But here's the thing, you don't have to take it. I'm going to help you to make the decision, but if you just want the pills and you don't want the operation, that's fine. Just take that. But I'm at least going to help you to make that decision.
So how did you translate that into a young team and grow the business as a young team? So a lot of people listening to this, very founder-led businesses, they might have a young team. There's a lot of conversations about, I'm really struggling to get young team members to go out and sell, all that sort of stuff. How did you, because actually let's talk about your beliefs about sales within Go Proposal, because I think that's really interesting. Your belief is that everyone should be a salesperson, is that right?
You need a sales culture.
Sales culture.
Yeah. So if I said to you, do you want to give value to your clients? Everyone's like, yeah, I want to give value to my clients. Cool, you have to sell. No value can be exchanged if you don't sell something and take money in return. And if you don't take enough money, you can't keep delivering that value. So this is where people have conflicting beliefs. I want to give value. I don't like selling. Okay, perfect. You're now stuck. There's nothing you can now do until you understand what selling really is and that you want to be able to give value.
And you basically built a business in the accountancy sector that did that.
Yeah, that's it. And trained accountancy teams in how to do that. One of the issues can be is that as the founder, you started the business and you started to forge relationships with your clients, and maybe you found selling difficult. Maybe because what typically happens is you're an expert at your craft. So you're an amazing financial planner, you're an amazing accountant or whatever, and now you find yourself running a business. So you're an expert financial planner, professional financial planner, amateur business owner, okay? So you're shit at all this other stuff, and you don't realize how shit you are until you start having to do it. So now you go in, you don't like selling, we've all got a fear of rejection. It's hardwired into you because you think if you get rejected, you're going to get kicked out of the tribe, you're not by the fire, you won't get the food, you don't get the shelter, and you get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? So we have this innate fear of rejection, so we typically don't like selling, but the founder is normally the worst person at it. And then what happens is you've got this young sales team, a young team of people, and the risk is you project your beliefs and your fears about selling onto the team. So I'd go meet accountants and they're like, oh no, we can't increase our fees. We can't sell more to our clients. I said, well, can we get your team to it? Oh no, they'd hate to do it. Okay, can I speak to your team? Okay, excuse me, team, junior team. Would you be happy to increase your fees? Yeah, bloody would. These clients, I'm always doing work for them. They should be paying more. I'll go tell them they need to pay more. Brilliant. And would you be happy to sell them more? Yeah, because they need bookkeeping from me as well. I'm sick of doing the bookkeep. I'm sick of them trying to do the bookkeeping. It's terrible. I need to sell them this. So all of a sudden, there was a mismatch between what the founder believed, because they're projecting their beliefs onto their team, and what the team actually believed. And when you train the team in it and you show the benefit to them, because here's the thing, right? Great clients don't exist. Great clients are created. Everyone's looking for a great client, and they're frustrated with the clients they've got, so they're looking out there. What they don't realize is they need to create a great client creation machine. That's what their business needs to create, great clients. The best analogy of this is a diamond, okay? So everyone's looking for a diamond client. A diamond doesn't look like a diamond. A diamond is a rough lump of rock buried in the ground, covered in crap, that needs knocking into shape and polishing up. That's what needs to happen with a client. So what happens is, let's say you show me a financial planner, say, right, tell me a client that's bad. Oh, I've got this client here. They're always taking my time. They're always trying to knock me down on price, and they don't value what we do. Okay, perfect. Take me back through the sales process that you took them on. Okay. Well, they turned up to the first meeting. Cool. Did you set an agenda? No. I didn't have an agenda set. I let them set the agenda. Perfect, right? The meeting was an hour long. How long did it actually last? Oh, well, I wanted to give them value, so I let it run to an hour and 15. Okay, cool. Did you give them a price while you were with them, or did you wait till they left afterwards? Well, I waited till they left afterwards. Okay. And so you weren't having that negotiation face to face. And when you gave them a price, did you stick to that price? Well, they were kind of referred by a friend. So they said, could you do it for this? And I said, yeah, I can drop it down a bit. Perfect. So what have you just trained that client in? That they're in control, that your time has no value, and that your services aren't worth as much as you said they were. So you've trained them to be a shit client from day one, rather than them turning up saying, here's the agenda. This is how long the meeting will last. This is how much it's going to cost, and if you don't like it, fuck off. That is how you actually train a client to be a great client.
Great time to go straight into an ad break.
Perfect.
We'll be back soon.
Want to be financial planning's next big success story? You need more than ambition. You need Xplan. Xplan is the top-rated financial advice software that powers up your practice. It boosts your business and gives your client service some serious liftoff. It's backed by top-rated service and support, all from Iris, the technology partner you can trust. So if you want to get on top, get Xplan. Book your free demo at iris.com today.
Right, so we're back. We've got rid of rubbish clients, haven't we?
Yeah, we turn great. Well, you don't need to get rid of rubbish clients. You just need to turn them into great clients and accept responsibility for that.
And yeah, I love that. You had a really young team.
Yeah.
Really young. So we had Heather speak at the Plannex Live. Really impressive. She was your operations person. Talk us through that process, because I think I get asked this question all the time. How do I develop people? How do I train people? What does good look like? I think you did it better than most people that I know.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I had a young junior team with no investment, and I got them operating at a very high standard. When we sold the business, we had 12 members of staff. Every acquiring company that were looking to buy us had all assumed we had about 50 members of staff because of our output and because of the standards we hit. The NPS score, the Net Promoter Score, is a good measure of customer experience that you provide. Ours was in the high 70s, which is considered world class. Our ENPS score, our Employee Net Promoter Score, was in the 80s, which is also considered world class. And our team never worked after 9 to 5. Like, it was the laptop shut at 5 o'clock. It wasn't a high pressure environment. We were very efficient with what we did, with the exception of certain developers. If we had like a project deadline, they might have to work a bit later, and we'd always give them the day off afterwards if we ever had to do that. So we got them performing at a very high standard. The first thing is you've got to create a great culture. So the culture guides the behaviours of the team. And when people think about culture, they think about this fluffy, soft thing. Culture is not soft. Culture is hard. Culture is not the football table or a pool table or pizzas on a Friday. Culture is the hard conversations, the truthful conversations, honesty, having radical candor. So many people, what surprises me in businesses is they just don't tell the truth. Like if I see you not performing at your best, I'm going to tell you, even if we're in a meeting, even if we're surrounded by other people, I'm not going to wait until after the meeting. I'm going to tell you now. You're late for the meeting. So let's say it was your meeting and you've not, have you pre-read the meeting? Have you read the notes? Right, meeting's cancelled. We're off. I'm not attending another meeting until you start reading the pre-meeting notes. So you're turning up prepared for this meeting. I'm not sitting in this. I'm leaving. Like I'll have that conversation with you in front of people, and likewise, I'd expect you to have it in front with me. So I've noticed this. If any high performance team are able to have honest conversations with each other, and that's the culture, that's the behaviour that we created. I think it's even more difficult now because we have this culture where we should accept people as they are. I'm not going to accept you as you are if I can see a better version of you that exists. So anyone in our company knew that they were stepping into that environment because they were told about it. And it seems shocking to people when you first hear that.
Was that day one?
From day one, yes.
And was that because you learn what not to accept in previous firms?
For sure, yeah. But do you know what? It creates psychological safety for your team members because you will never leave a meeting or go home thinking, is James pissed off with me? Have I done something I shouldn't have done? No, if there is, you'll know about it. And it's harsh when you first hear it, but over time it makes you feel safe because you know that you're going to be told about something or how to improve in the moment. But the only way you can do that is if you know that it's safe to do for me as well. So in our one-on-ones meeting, I would encourage that feedback back to me. Where am I falling short? What am I not doing that you want me to do? If you was to hand your notice in within the next 3 months, what would the reason be that you'd give as to why you've handed your notice in? Like, I'm going to have them difficult conversations with you because I want to discover the truth, right? So we had a very honest, candid environment with very strong core values. Deliver wow with every interaction. Always do what you say you're going to do. Like very solid, unequivocal standards that everyone understood very, very simply. That was the first thing. The next thing was we had playbooks for everything. So every single thing was written out in a playbook for every part of our business, from the way that you handled a call to the way that we had a meeting to if we were doing an event, what would that be like? And I mean, everything is considered. So every script of every phone call is in place. If this table was being set up for a podcast that we're doing, that book is in that position there, that this water bottle is here with the lid removed and with the logo pointing forward, and that notebook here with that pen like there, this at that angle, that straight, photographed, people trained in it, so they understood what the standard was that we're hitting. And someone said to me, the problem is, James, as you grow, the standards will slip. And I said, yeah, if you let them. I'm not letting them. And what we don't often want to be as a business owner is we think we're going to be a dick. Ideally, I don't like it when the bottle's like that and the barcode's showing forward. I prefer it like that, but I don't want to say it because you're going to think I'm a dick. Be a dick. Mm-hmm. The results that you get in your business will be entirely down to the standards that you set and uphold. And so if you want your business to get the results that you want, you have to uphold those standards. So that's what I did with all my team.
And how did you hire people? What was the key?
Often through people that knew people. So Jack came through a referral, my employee number one. Someone rang me and said, I've seen your job ad, take it down. I've got the person for you. And that was that. Heather was at the races, and I overheard her talking to a friend saying she was moving to Manchester. And I turned my chair. I said, when do you move to Manchester? She says, is this an interview? I said, it is now. She said, for what job? I said, I have no idea. I just want you. So I'm always interested in just finding good people, and I'll find the job for them. I do it all the time now. You'd be like driving through a Starbucks. I was in McDonald's the other day, drove through, and I thought, I need to come back and speak to you because there's just something about you. You're a star. The other thing, do you want to just to say something about the playbooks that we had in place? People think that if you set rules for everything and you're rigid with everything, that you create robots. The opposite is true. What happens is you free up their thinking. We're all creative people, right? People can't be their creative best selves because they're always thinking, did Did I have to follow up with that client? Did I say the right thing on that call? Did I get the bottle right in the podcast? Like, you don't have to think of that. We've thought it all through. It's all done. So now you can be your creative best self and bring that to the table. So the final part of the jigsaw that we did with the team is we created a space where they could flourish, where it was safe for them to run experiments, where they could try things. So now we've set the standard, we've set the culture, we've set the playbooks for everything. Now go do your best work. And every month I want you to run an experiment. And you know what? It's okay if you get it wrong. You were told on day one, you will, however many mistakes you make, you'll never make more mistakes than me. And so long as that this is the thing with mistakes. We try to create an environment where our team don't make mistakes. That's not right. We want them to make mistakes. But it's this idea of the water line. So imagine a boat. You can make as many mistakes as you want above the water line. I ideally don't want you making mistakes below the water line. And if we do, we need to jump on them quickly and solve it, okay? But I'm going to encourage you to make mistakes above the water line because it won't sink the ship. So you can try something. So now we've got the way of, we want you to handle every customer that turns up through the door, but you now want to run an experiment today because you've learned it's their birthday, so you baked a birthday cake at home for them and you brought it in. That's an experiment you want to run. Go for it. You bring your best self. You do your best work now. So it's the fact that I've created this space for you to play in as a playground, for you to run experiments, bring your best self, and for you to flourish safely.
So what about, so that's your training, basically?
That and training every week, dedicated training every single week for every team member.
What?
Anything. But it's to know that you, every single week, at least 2 hours, but ideally 4 hours, half a day a week, you're going to be trained in something either by me, by another team member, by a video, by an external consultant, or you're going to be working as a team to develop yourselves and share best practice and improve part of the business.
Yeah, so that was massive, I'm guessing.
Massive.
Obviously, Heather, Jack, they had no experience in what you're doing. They had no experience in working in a SaaS firm. So how did you get them up to speed so quickly, apart from training?
As a business leader, you have got to show them a vision of the future that they can't necessarily see right now. So that's a vision of the future of the business and a business of the future of themselves and what their life is going to be like in that future. Whether that's the role that they're going to be fulfilling, the skills that they're going to have, the income that they're going to be getting, the amount of holidays they're going to have, whatever that may be, that they've got to have a compelling vision of the future that affects them in their life. So we planned that out with them and they knew what that future was going to look like to the best of our ability to be able to deliver it. And we all had a clear vision for the business. Every year, one of the key things that we did was then we had an annual planning day. It was actually over 2 days. So every team member in the business turned up to this annual planning days, 2 days, where we'd review the vision, the mission of the business, what the goals were for the next 12 months. And then what they will all then do is figure out how they're going to contribute to the goals and how they're going to achieve the goals of the business. And they would plan it out. We used the OKR system, objectives and key results. So they would set that out. And then every quarter, we'd revisit that exercise and say, right, what have you achieved over the last quarter? What have you fallen short of? What are you going to do next quarter? And what it meant was that you created this environment of intrapreneurs. So intrapreneur is halfway between being an employee and an entrepreneur in that they can actually affect the direction of the business. They can steer it and move it forward. They develop new products. They develop new ways of doing things. And the other thing is they could also affect what they earned. Like, we would have an honest conversation every year with everybody, which is, what do you want your pay rise to be? Like, if you want your pay rise to be 10 grand this year, perfect. What value are you going to bring to this business so that I can sign that pay rise off right now? Like, I want you to get that pay rise. I want you to make more money, but make it easy for me to make that decision. So now you're actually in control of not only of the business, of moving the business forward, but of actually improving your life. Most employees have no control over their own life.
Yeah. So to finish this part of I think I want to talk about the killing the king. That was a big moment for you, wasn't it? So this element of you built a very founder-led business. You were the top of it. I think Heather talked about killing the king, which was basically you losing control or delegating control. What was that process like? Let's be honest.
Yeah, so we'd done very well with that from the start of the business. So everything was about unpacking my head all of the way along. one of the stickiest parts of me letting go was the marketing. So I was very good at marketing. I could produce videos, create great copy, craft great emails, etc. So I was driving the marketing, and so I delegated everything else away, but I wouldn't let go of the marketing because no one could do it to my standard. So Heather would be like, right, but just humour me, like just train me in one component of it, train me in the emails, train me in this. And that was like, this is like pre-AI. With AI now you can do it so much easier. But she slowly prized it away from me, and what we realised was that there wasn't one person to replace me, but there were 4 people that could replace me. We could have a videographer, we could have a copywriter, we could have a social media expert, we could have a marketing manager. So it took multiple people to replace me that role because I was proficient at it and fast at it, but we did do it, and we got it away. People typically don't like handing something over to somebody else because let's say I can do it at 90%. If I train you in marketing and do what I'm doing, you're going to do it at 70% to start with. So I look at that and think, well, it's 20% different. I might as well just do it myself. So I'm not going to train you in how to do it or trust you to do it. I'm going to do it myself. But then I've also got this task over here and this task over here and this task over here. So what ends up happening is, whilst I can do it at 90%, I'm actually doing it at 0% because I don't have the bandwidth. So I'm better off training you at 70% and training you to get to 72% and then 76%, and over time mentoring you to get to my standard. So we did that with the marketing, but there were still a few bits that we recognised that I was interfering with. So we read this great book called Multipliers, and what we discovered in that was that they've got this section called accidental diminisher, which is you score yourself across these 6 areas to see how are you accidentally diminishing the team. Which one are you doing the most? I was all of them. I was bossing every single one. So there's some like examples, which is, let's say you're CC'd into an email with the rest of your team. Who's the first to respond? If you're in a meeting and someone's criticising your team, who's the first to defend? If you're doing an ideas session in a quarterly planning and there's a problem, who's the first to solve it with an idea? Well, I was the first to CC, respond to the email. If anyone had a go, I'd dive in and defend the team. And then if there was a problem, I'd step in and solve it. What you do there is you diminish the team because they know you're going to do that. You've trained them that that's what you're going to do. So they just sit back and wait for you to do it. So what we did was we got me to shut up effectively. And Heather was the person in doing that. And she had to be trained in how to do this, by the way. We brought in Cheryl Thompson. Cheryl had to train Heather in how to deal with me. So I remember, I can't remember what happened. A customer had kicked off about something publicly. It was a problem. And it didn't reflect well on us. So all of a sudden now I've just gone round robin email. What the fuck are we doing? How have we like just
defense mode? Yeah,
just unleashed at the team and everyone. Heather rang me up and said, "What have you just done there?" I said, "I've just seen what that customer said." She said, "Yeah, we're handling it. We know what's going on, but what you don't know is what's happening with this team member here, and this personal issue's happened over here, and we're handling this, that, and also this customer is a bit of a twat, and but like." There was so much I didn't know, but I was just responding and reacting. She says, "You're never to do that again. If you've got a problem, unleash on me. I can deal with you. Yeah. I'll be the filter and I'll decide where that's going to go. You have no right to share this with the team again." And that was it. That was the first wave of killing me off. The last wave was in quarterly planning sessions. I'm the ideas guy. You tell me a problem, I will solve it, okay? So they're coming up with problems. And I'm like, yeah, do it like this, do it like this. Eventually, they gave me 2 poker chips. I could only offer 2 answers in that session. I could ask as many questions as I wanted. So I could say, "Have you thought about this? What would you consider that?" But if I wanted to give an answer, I had to pay a poker chip in. Okay. So now there's a problem, and I'm thinking, it's not big enough for me to solve this. Let them solve this one. And it trained me to shut up. When I knew I'd cracked this was Danielle. We developed a new product called Oversuite, and she drove the growth of that product, the start of it, the development of it, the implementation of it. She rang me up. She said, "Right, we've got all the team are in on this product. I need you on the call. You're only allowed to come on it for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to cut you off the call. I want to know what your vision is. What does excellence look like?" I came on, and she went, "Right, you're done." Cut me off. I never saw that product again, and it was a huge success.
Wow. So just finishing on the business stuff for the end of this episode. What's your advice to anyone who's running a business right now? You know, what's the key things they need to get right? I mean, there's so much to give context. There's so much advice out there. There's so many books on this and all that sort of stuff. But I guess let's just tell the honest truth. What do you think?
I think I would try and sum it up with two things. One is, and they're both boring, by the way. They're not. You talk about this stuff on social media. It's not going to get clicks or likes because it's just boring stuff. But I know for a fact it works. Not just from my experience, but from amazing business owners I work with as well. Is standards. No one's going to care as much as you, the founder. No one is going to operate at your standard. You want every customer experience to be exceptional. You want the impact to be incredible that you have on your clients. You want it to be amazing. You have therefore got to imbue your team with those standards. And there's ways that you can do that with technology, with training, with playbooks. I think training's the main thing. There's a great phrase by a guy called Dr. Edwards Deming who says, whatever you expect, you've got to inspect. So even if you've set the standard, you've still got to have an inspection process for that standard. It doesn't matter if you're talking about your most senior member of staff on a significant amount of money. If football's on tomorrow and they want to get off early because the standard will drop, and then next week they'll think, well, actually, I dropped it by that much. It didn't seem to affect anything. And standards have gravity. They want to pull. They're always pulling down. So if you're not actively pushing them up, they will slip. They won't maintain. So you've got to uphold those standards, and they've got to be improving all the time. So whatever playbook you have in place, whatever process, you have to have a methodology for saying, right, it's our 3-month review of this process. What have we learned? How can we improve it? How can we make it better? So you've got to be actively upholding and pushing standards up. And the next one, and it alarms me at how rare this is, and I spoke about it earlier, but just truthfulness, just me delivering the truth. Can you just pass me my block of truth, please, Nathan? So I've made this to demonstrate what the truth looks like. So, just sit down there for me. The truth, I've had this made out of concrete, by the way. The truth is heavy and it has hard edges to it. If I'm delivering the truth to you, I don't have to lighten it. I don't have to bubble wrap it. It's for you're grown up. It's for you to deal with it, right? So that's the truth. This is where you just had that client meeting and you just fell short of what our expectations because this is what you didn't do. I don't believe in delivering a shit sandwich. Hey, Adam, what you've been doing really well over the last few months is this, but there's just a couple of areas where I think you can fuck that. Adam, you dropped the ball with that client meeting. You said you were going to deliver that proposal by 5 o'clock today. You didn't send it through till 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. That is absolutely unacceptable. This is your first strike. Like, there has to be consequences to you not delivering that. But I'm going to deliver the truth. What most business owners do is they daren't deliver that truth because they're afraid that you're going to leave or they're afraid that you're going to be upset or whatever. So they carry it themselves. So I've got this. Then I've got this truth here and I'm lugging them all about, and as a business owner you're just getting weighed down. I'm not carrying anything. When I watch my daughter play hockey, the coach at the side shouts the feedback mid-game in front of parents, in front of the opposition, in front of your teammates, and all my daughter does is turn around and say, yes coach, and cracks on. You can't wait until half time to pull her to one side and say it. You need to deliver the truth. So if you want a high-performance team, you have to create an environment where the truth can be delivered in the moment with no padding, and you've got to be able to receive it yourself as well.
Okay, good way to end part one. I wasn't expecting a block of concrete to enter the table. But
block of truth.
Right, so part two, make sure you come back. We're going to talk about your experience with financial planning and actually going through the process. So this is going to be rare here because we're going to talk about like your views as a client, and then we're going to talk about your views on AI, aren't we? So come back soon.